198. Applications of factoring means what? Yeah. Yeah, what we can use factoring for in real life. The question comes up often, when am I going to need to know this? Well, here gives you at least, not like it's an everyday situation unless you maybe, want to be a scientist or something and do this. But anyway, once you get into, especially physics in high school, and I think you had physical science last year, right? A lot of math involved with physics, okay? I loved physics. Hated chemistry, loved physics, because it made sense. Um, you'll just have preferences as you go. So as we look at applications of factoring, the height h of a rocket with initial velocity v, t seconds after blastoff, is given by the formula height is equal to vt minus 5t squared. We're going to be working with this formula today. Okay, and it'll make sense. A toy rocket is launched with an initial velocity of 80 meters per second. What is initial velocity? Yeah. Yeah, like right away. You've seen a rocket take off from the ground. Okay, that's its initial velocity. It's going to go 80 meters per second. Pretty fast. Okay, kicking it pretty fast there. Then it wants to know how many seconds after blast off will it hit the ground. Now, the funny thing about physics, okay, is that it'll take off from a certain speed, and as it gets higher in the air, what happens to its velocity? Slows down until it eventually hits 0. Then it'll pick up speed again as it hits back toward the ground. Okay, so we're going to look at some of this information, plug in some of it into our formula here, and solve the problem. We're going to find out t, because t is the amount of seconds that we're going to need. So let's start filling things in. Well, height, when it hits the ground gives us a height of 0. Okay, so we're going to plug in 0 for h. The initial velocity v, we were told, was 80. Minus, we don't know t yet, 5t squared. So what we're going to do here is do a little factoring. Now, we've seen let's do this, if this maybe helps you a little bit more. I know a lot of you don't like seeing the 0 in the beginning. Same thing. Do 80t and 5t have anything in common? Is there a GCF between the two of them? Okay, so we'll pull a 5t on the outside. Thank you. So what times 5t will give us 80t? 16? Minus, what am I going to have to multiply 5t by to get 5t squared? T equals 0. So I will have two possible solutions here. We've done this. This is multiplication, okay? You might as well have a set of parentheses around that 5t as well. For anything to equal 0, either one of these sets of parentheses has to equal 0. How am I going to make this 5t equal 0? Divide both sides by 5, and t will equal 0. How am I going to make t equal 0 here? Or this set of parentheses equals 0. 16 minus t equals 0. I can, well, let's subtract 16 from both sides. Negative t equals negative 16. Can I have a negative t? No. T is time. So basically, it's a negative 1t. If I want to get rid of that negative, I'll divide both by a negative. So now t, right, negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1. 1t equals 16. So I've got two answers here. The question says, after how many seconds after blastoff will it hit the ground? So my choices are 0 seconds and 16 seconds. Which one is more logical? 16. 0 seconds doesn't make any sense. If I launch this rocket from the ground, it's going to take a little bit of time for it to reach its peak and then drop down. It's not going to be 0 seconds. If it's 0 seconds, it never took off in the first place. Does this confuse you here? Well, just think about it logically then. 16 minus what is 0? 16. 16 minus t equals 0. Plug in 16. 16 minus 16. Here, let's look at it this way, Ray. Negative t, what was it? T minus t equals 0, right? Can I add t to both sides? It's a negative t. Can I add t to both sides? So 16 equals t. Same thing. Faster? Better? Try one. Exploratory, number 1, we're going to use the formula h is equal to bt minus 5t squared. And number 1 says we have a height of 0, a velocity of 60, and a time of, we don't know. Okay. So 0 is our height. V, 60, t minus 5t squared. Do 60t and 5t squared have anything in common? 5t. So what times 5t will give us 60t? 12 minus t. So t equals either 0 or... Which one is more logical? 12. 12 seconds. There it is. Try number 2. You're going to pick your number out of a hat. That's what's going to happen come March, April. Well, we're going to do all these, we're going to break it all down. No, I'm going to say, okay, so for whatever day, you're going to be responsible for knowing numbers 1 through 10. Or maybe since there's 13 of you, 1 through 13. And then I'll call on you at random. You'll have to know yours, otherwise you end up on the hot seat.
But what about when we get to like 50?
So then, after the first review session, you'll go 1 through 13. The second review session will be 1 through 26. And they get longer and longer and longer. So instead of getting 1, you'll get 2, and then you'll get 3, and then you'll get 4. So you got to know yours. And some of those are pretty long. Listen, it's going to help you. It's going to help you get ready.
What is it? I understand that my faith got to be strong for like my life, but what does learning these questions have to do
Because it's what your faith is built on. So if you don't understand what your faith is built on, how strong is it?
Built on that one question.
Half of the stuff is memory anyway.
Oh, no.
Half of it is memory, at least half of it. Yeah, wait till you start getting to the longer ones, and it's the creeds and the explanations, and it's easy.
Dang. We gotta know the second article and the third article, fourth article.
And the first one. Orticle. Wait, did you do the orticles for memory?
No, I wasn't on the article now. Wait,
You good? All right, so what do 200t and 5t squared have in common? So now we have 40 minus t, so this t will again equal 0, and this one will equal 40. 40 makes more sense. Now number 3. Height is equal to 400 Okay, so hold on. Now for number 3, h is 400. We don't know v, but we know t. T is 10. All right, so now from here, we have to do a little bit of simplifying. Let's leave this 400 for now. Okay. 10v, there's not much we can do with that right this second, but we can simplify this. Now, what is 5 times 10 squared? Which one has to be done first, the multiplication or the power? The power. What is 10 squared? 100 times 5? 500. Okay. Now, what has to get done? We need to find v, so let's try to isolate v as much as possible. This is a negative 500. Let's try to get rid of it by doing what? Adding it to both sides. So now this becomes equals 10v. Now what? Divide both sides by 10 and v equals 9. Try number 4. Try number 4. All right. So here we go. 5,000 is our height. Can't do anything with it yet. 20v, can't do anything with it yet until we clear this up. 20 times 20 is what? 400. 400 times 5? 2,000. Add 2,000 to both sides, which gives me 7,000, equals 20v. Divide both by 20. V equals 350. Because here we had negative 2,000. To get rid of it, we had to add it to both sides. So it's a negative. The opposite. Number 5. We don't know the height. It's going to make this really easy. Velocity is 70. The time is 8. Give it a shot. Fine. What is 70 times 8? 560. And 8 squared is 64. 64 times 5? So now 560 minus 320 That was a doozy. Sure, do number 6.
I'm sorry for laughing.
Yeah. 12 times 12 is 144 with a 0. Minus 12 times 12 is 144 times 5. You're saying 720. So 1440 minus 720 is 720. All right, your assignment. $199.